Don't give away all the secrets on who you like and who you don't like. It's just going to be a second for Facebook. I know StreamYard and YouTube start faster, but good morning, everyone. This is Will, aka Crazy Laser Dad, and welcome to our second Wisdom Wednesday. I am joined here today by Heather. Oh, this way. I don't know that way. Who was one of our excellent presenters at Next Level Laser Conference. Her and Dana did a great class on Etsy, and I thought I'd bring her on here today to share a little bit more about Etsy, help answer questions you guys might have, debunk some myths potentially, and just get everyone feeling a little bit more confident. So, Heather, I'll let you introduce yourself really quickly, and then we'll get into this.
Okay. Hi, my name is Heather Whitaker, and I have been on Etsy originally since 2009. This current business since 2017 really, is when I got onto Etsy. I'm a multi-six-figure seller on Etsy, but it's a lot of work. I'm also the Etsy thread partner inside the Growth Thread, which Dana that is Dana's membership program that she has, where we have a lot of different thread partners in there. So, but I'm the one that does all of the Etsy trainings in there. So.
Excellent. And I heard nothing but amazing things about your class at Next Level. People came out of that feeling definitely more confident about Etsy, either wanting to start it or improving on what they already do with Etsy to try to maximize the platform. So again, thank you so much. And where are you joining us from today?
I am in the Dallas-Fort Worth area, primarily Fort Worth, Texas. Yeah.
So excellent. And you said it's pretty cold there today?
Yeah, it is. We had a cold front come through. So yeah. It was like 85 Monday.
Yeah, I love the cold. It's been cold here. It's been on and off raining, so it's been a little bit of a challenge as I'm in the currently moving warehouses. So between the two warehouses, trying to move racks when it's not raining has been a challenge. So
yeah, that's
definitely
not fun. Moving period.
Well, thank you again. Thank you again so much for joining. As people come on, feel free to comment. I am monitoring comments on Facebook on my phone right here, or if you're on YouTube, you can just comment there. We'll see the posts. And from there, we'll take your questions. But at the same time, I have some questions for you as well. And we'll just have a conversation about Etsy, because I think it's a really great opportunity for people to look at how Etsy could help benefit their business. And Stephanie, is this going to be about Etsy? Yes, this one is about Etsy. So we will be talking about Etsy. So if you have any questions, Stephanie, feel free to ask them away. So first off, Heather, thank you again. But when did you first get started on Etsy?
I originally was started in 2009. In 2014, I stepped away just because I wasn't making any money and I was working 60, 70 hours a week. So I took about 8-9 months off, and then I started back on Etsy, and mainly just I threw a few listings up, but I was focused heavily on Facebook. That's kind of when, buy, sell, trade groups started popping up in Facebook, and you could sell locally there. They put a lot of restriction on that, just the individual groups. But that's how I got started back on Etsy, was doing that. I just wanted the freedom. I had a daycare at the time, and I needed some more freedom with the kids' activities throughout the day. So that's why I started back up again.
Oh, excellent. So when you were first looking at, opening an Etsy, what had kind of inspired you to go to Etsy? What were you selling at the time? And what was that process like?
Yeah, I started off with, when I started that business back up in 2015, I was doing vinyl products. That's when Silhouette started coming out and was really popular. Started with vinyl products, had a sign, then got into sublimation. And so I was doing a wedding. It was a like a wedding gift sign. It had the couple's last name and then their first names on there. And then sequin pillows is what I started with, that really took off. And so I would just drive those sales for customers that didn't were either leery of paying via PayPal or whatever, I would point them to my Etsy page, and the algorithm loves it when you do that. So that's how I kind of boosted and got started on. I really wasn't. I threw the listings up on Etsy, but I drove my own sales starting out. So
And after, seeing a little bit of success with Etsy and a couple of products, when did you first start to kind of realize like this could be a real business for me or something that I should really focus some attention onto? And for people who are new and are starting, what kind of advice would you give to them when they're looking at going from hobbyist to maybe taking this a little bit further?
well, the first, I'll start with my first mistake, which was I didn't treat it as a business. Even though I knew it was going to be a business, but I didn't price my items right. I wasn't taking into account, overhead, because in my mind, I'm working out of the house. Those bills are being paid anyway. So I wasn't thinking of that. So I didn't price my items very well starting out. And so I learned pretty quick that because I did price it too cheap, that I was doing all of this work and I wasn't profiting enough. So once I changed kind of that mindset on the pricing side, um, business just started increasing. You're going to have bottom feed, in my opinion, you're going to have those bottom feeders all the time that want something really inexpensive, but you're going to have the people that are truly shopping on Etsy that want quality. And so they're going to pay a little bit more for that, especially if your photos depict that type of quality. And that's what the whole point of the photos are for, is for you to really sell your product. So that's really when I started taking my business seriously. I started getting more and more sales, and I'm like, okay, this is that I can do this with this product line. And then it coincidentally actually went viral that fourth quarter. It was just completely insane. So, and that also kind of helped solidify my decision and said, okay, I'm doing the right thing. I do not recommend going viral by any shape, form, or fashion. And Etsy's put in a lot of precautions for that going forward, to where you don't get too overwhelmed with orders. That can be good and bad, that they, have that much control over your sales, but they do. But for me, it was pretty crazy. But that really solidified me doing what I was wanting to do and knew that I could do this. So that's really what it helped with. So.
Yeah, that's sometimes a blessing in disguise,
Yes.
or something that you're not expecting. We get viral, and you're like, oh my gosh, I can't keep up with that type of production, or
Yeah.
I'm a one person show and these things take me an hour to make, and I don't have that many hours in a day. But like you said, it
Yeah.
could be a good or bad thing where they've well, I'm not doing the 6-7, sorry. My kids,
Yeah.
every time I do this with my hands now, my kids just start laughing. They think I'm doing,
Yeah.
and I have no idea what it means, but I still do it just to entertain them. So, and I'm not doing it
Too funny.
well because I can't move my left shoulder very well, but I'm
Yeah.
still recovering from an accident. So
Yeah.
I gotta tell myself not to move it. Um, I got a couple more questions for you, but I did have a
Yeah.
question here from Stephanie.
Okay.
Um, Etsy has started doing something where they do an update of your titles. What do you think of the new tool, and what do you think the best way to do your titles? Also, they allow you to now do 20 pictures versus 10. She has a hard time getting to 10 already. How do you suggest getting more pictures, or does it really matter if you have 10 versus 20?
The one thing that I've learned with Etsy over the years is if they are making changes and they are suggesting something, that suggestion means that you need to be in line with it. That is the one thing that I have come to realize with Etsy. 20 pictures is hard. There are some other updates and upgrades that are probably coming down the pipeline for those 20 images. Is once again, that's normally the way Etsy works. But I do a lot of infographics. I started taking a lot more photos as I'm making products. The whole point with Etsy is that they've wanted you to show show what the customer is actually buying. So if you can show all your different angles of the through photography, through videos of what the customer is actually purchasing, that creates that buyer seller trust. And then it also keeps from the customer wanting to, open up a case or have a help request to where, they're not happy with their order. In regards to the title structure, that's kind of a big, broad question because there's just been a lot of changes this fall in Etsy. Probably the most changes I've ever seen roll out all at once. And we have a lot of trainings inside the growth thread where I dive in and dig into all of those different changes and have updated lessons in regards to all of that. So the titles it is a new structured title though that they're expecting you to have. So
I think you hit the nail on the head when any of these platforms, if it's Etsy, if it's Instagram, if it's TikTok, if they roll out a new feature, they tend to favor the makers or the creators
yeah,
who are using those new features. So
yeah,
if they want you to use 20, find a way to use 20. I know one thing that I've noticed that a lot of people, we've all know that people don't tend to read all the descriptions,
yeah,
but they do look at pictures. So if you
yeah.
can use your pictures, like you said, and put text on there to
Mm-hmm.
showcase dimensions, or this is a digital product only, or any of those things, adding it to additional pictures can
Yeah,
help give more information
absolutely.
to your customer without having them to have to read the description, which we've all seen. Hey,
Oh yeah.
I ordered this $2 wall sign. When is it shipping? Oh, wait, that's a file. And it says it in the description, it says it everywhere.
Yeah.
Yet we see it, I think, every day in these groups. Hey, I had a customer
Oh,
ask when my digital product was shipping, my $2 desk organizer. But
yeah.
it happens. It happens.
Oh,
Here's
absolutely.
another question from Stephanie, and
Yeah.
this is a one that I've talked about a lot, and I would love to hear your insights on it. When file designers allow other makers to use their photos, what do you think of makers using their photos for Etsy listings?
Well, that's not their photo. And so that pretty much answers the question.
Yeah, I am 100% on. I think you should be using your own photos.
Yes.
I think it's a great thing that file sellers offer to people, but
Right.
there's two major things that come up with that. One, like you said, it's not your work. Two
Right.
is I don't
Right.
know if I can replicate it. I
Right.
look at some people's paintings and I look at what they finish it with, and I'm like, if I shared that picture and then I put what I made
Yeah.
next to it when I sell it, that seller's going to, or that buyer's going to be very disappointed in what they received if it's not the same,
Absolutely.
because it's something that I might not be able to replicate. So I think documenting the process, seeing how long it actually takes you to make, taking your own photos are all benefits. And that's how you can get to 20 photos too. Now, if you're just using a
Right.
designer's one photo, there,
Yeah.
you're done. You got one photo. There's
You
nothing else you
know,
can do with it. So
yeah.
yeah,
It's
use your
like
own
what you
photos.
yeah, it's like what you said. I mean, you can't how do you know how long it takes you to make it so you can price it appropriately if you don't make it yourself, if you're just using someone's photo, because your process to make something might be a lot faster because you've been doing it longer than what my process would be because I'm new at that type of technique. So you need to take all of those into consideration when you're making stuff. I'm a big opponent of you make it yourself, and I know sometimes it's like especially when you're starting out, you're like, well, I don't have the funds to do that. I need to, well, you've got to find, then you need to step back and like say, okay, what can I make that is inexpensive so I can jumpstart the business and get revenue coming in so I can make these other things that I'm wanting to make in this technique and so forth. So,
Yeah. And I think one way that you can combat well, I don't have the funds to continually make all of these products is, like you said, is pricing your products appropriately so that you have some profit in there that you can invest back into business. And part of
right.
investing back into business is being able to use that money to cover the cost of making the items yourself.
Yeah.
One thing I did do in the beginning, and this is just, personal experience. When I first got my Glowforge, I wanted to make everything.
Uh-huh.
And I ended up with a lot of things with my
Yeah.
own last name on it, like
Yeah.
hundreds of things, like everywhere. Everything was like Louis, like just in case I forgot my last name, I knew it because I made everything on the Glowforge. And what I started doing was I would find maybe 5 to 10 things that I wanted to make, and I would post it on my personal page. Hey, I'm just starting out my business. I'm learning to make these items. I want to make them. I need them for photographs. I need to learn how long it takes me. If anyone is looking for a nursery sign, or the 10 items I listed on my personal page, I would sell it to them at a deep discount just to cover my costs
Right.
for the most part. They get an amazing gift. I don't spend any money out of pocket to buy the materials. They share it on their social
Yeah.
media. I get experience with it. And that's a way that we could all maybe make some items without breaking the bank.
Right.
And out of the 10 items I made, I realized 9 of them I never want to make again. Like,
Yeah,
I don't want to make these
exactly.
anymore. These took forever. I glued my fingers together. Paint is everywhere. This
Yeah.
is a hot mess.
Yes.
So making the items will also let you know, is this something you can see yourself doing 10
Right.
hours a day? Because you might say,
Absolutely.
oh God, this is
And is it
horrible.
easy to train someone else to do it? So as you grow your business, you can hire someone to come in and be able to take that part of the business over because that's how you scale. But
Yeah.
that, like what you said, that's just such a big. You brought up a good point about, because that's what I do when I'm wanting to, because I do a lot of embroidery work. So it's kind of expensive. So I will post I got a couple of moms groups where I can post in there, and I'll say, hey, I need to make a shirt. I'll either do it for free and I get a modeled photo, which is a big thing on Etsy, or I'll give it to you at cost. Like you said, I'll normally do 50, 60% off. That covers all of my costs. And then I can take my own photos from that. But that's a great way to be able to at least cover your costs. You're not making any money on it right now, but you're getting all the photos that you need so you can list it and start getting that money coming in. So, and like you said, you
Definitely.
find out real quick what you want to make and what you don't want to make.
Yeah. I realized really quick that I don't enjoy making almost anything. Uh, that's why I just engrave cutting boards now. So, uh, but
Exactly.
speaking of Etsy versus other platforms, because I hear
Uh-huh.
this a lot in the groups, and I know they're very different. What are some of the how does Etsy differ from, say, Shopify or Amazon Handmade? Because that's one that I hear a lot. Should I start a Shopify or should I start an Etsy page when I first start out? So what are some of the differences there?
So with Shopify, you have to pay for the eyeballs. With Etsy and Amazon, they bring the eyeballs to you. And so when people complain about, their transaction fees and their all of the fees associated with selling on whether it's Amazon or Etsy, that's still such a small number compared to the amount of money it's going to take for you to drive your own business to Shopify. But with Shopify, you're in control of your business. No one can shut you down. No one can shut you down. So that is the huge benefit of it, is you're complete in control of your business, which is that's extremely important, especially as you scale. And then with Amazon, the difference, for me, I'm an Etsy girl through and through. And the interface with just setting up listings is it's more user friendly than Amazon. But Amazon, once you learn it, it's pretty straightforward too. And once you get in there, and there's a lot of advantages with Amazon. They both have their pros and cons, but you're not going to get the kind of eyeballs that both of them have. You're just not. So it's a great way to start out.
Yeah, I think you said it well. Is the eyes on your business,
Yeah.
right? The foot traffic. The biggest difference I think is Etsy generates a ton of foot traffic, and if you
Right.
have the right listings, you have the right keywords, more people that you would never ever reach see
Right.
product,
Absolutely.
where Shopify, you are 100% reliant on driving people to your site. Now,
Yeah.
you get the few that see Google, or they find you there, but majority of your customers are going to be user driven. So
Right.
if it's word of mouth, if it's advertising, and I think that's the big thing that I hear from people is, well, Etsy charges fees and Shopify doesn't. One, Shopify charges you a monthly fee. I pay
Yes.
hundreds of dollars a month for my Shopify site,
Yes.
and I have to drive my own traffic, which
Right.
in turn costs money. So when people say, well, it's, Etsy is expensive versus this, there's give and
Yeah.
take on both of those.
Yeah.
But what
Absolutely.
for Etsy, what are some of the costs associated with posting on Etsy, selling on Etsy? Does it cost anything to actually post items for sale on Etsy, or is it only when you sell? And how does that work?
So when you create a listing, it's 20 cents to list an item. And if you set the quantity at 0 and you don't have the auto renew set up, then that's your one fee. But if you sell it and you have auto renew set up, then it's going to charge you another 20 cents when you sell it, because it's automatically putting another one in stock and it's keeping that listing active on Etsy. You have a transaction fee, and then you have a processing fee, which is their credit card processing fee. It's 3.0. Their transaction fee is 6.5. And then, depending on what state you live in, you might have some other taxes. Texas just passed this wonderful tax fee, so now they're taxing all online sales, which is, crappy. But we won't get into
That's a
that.
whole different conversation we can get into.
Yeah,
So
exactly. But every state, I mean, they pay my sales tax. So you'll see it come out, but it's a wash because they collected it from the customer. So that didn't cost you anything. If you want to be an Etsy Plus subscriber, you get some free listings. You get so many listings for free. I'd have to look at the specifics on it, but that's like $10 a month. There's other benefits that are coming down the pipeline that makes the Etsy Plus worth it. You also get to do brand recognition on your banner, which is important to be able to start creating that brand awareness and cohesion on Etsy. And so you're able to do that with the Etsy Plus, and that's $10 a month. So
okay, yeah. So there are costs, but
yeah,
relatively low unless you're selling a ton,
right,
which, hey, in turn is a good thing, right?
yeah,
Um, I
absolutely.
did have I did have a gentleman, John. Welcome, John. He had a slight concern on why he's a little hesitant on Etsy. He goes, Etsy can arbitrarily shut down your shop at any time. It hasn't happened to me yet, but I'm hesitant to put a lot of time into an Etsy store because of the horror stories I've read about shops being shut down with no way to find out or how to fix it. Is that something that you've personally encountered, or have you heard of others having that happen to them?
So anytime I've had something like that happen, I mean, when I went viral, they put me on vacation mode because I literally had over $250,000 come in 4 weeks. It was a little insane. so
I'll
uh,
take that problem. No, just
yeah,
kidding.
it was a little crazy, but they put me on vacation mode. But they sent me a message. I've I was put they started that Inform Act where they verify all of your business information to make sure you're a legitimate business. Um, it didn't there was a glitch in the system when I uploaded my driver's license, and it should have automatically cleared it out, and it didn't. And so like my shop was on vacation mode it's actually well on vacation mode. It was gone. For like I want to say it was like 10 days, and this happened like 2 years ago. The biggest thing that I took from that is it was a wake up call. You shouldn't have all your eggs in one basket. If you're completely reliant on any platform that you're not completely in control of, like it can happen. Um, but what I will say is my experience is the people that have been shut down, there is an email that's normally sent, but they don't. I feel like, and you're never going to hear me preach Etsy is the be all. They're not. They make mistakes as well, and AI and bots are running a lot of these platforms, and so it takes a little bit for an actual human to look at it. But normally 9 times out of 10, the seller did do something wrong. I mean, they're not, something, a new rule was popped up and they're not following the Etsy terms of service, but they didn't know about it. It's not like they were doing it deliberately. Um, there's new copyrights all the time that are coming up. So, I mean, that type of stuff you have to stay on top of with your business. It's just part of running the business when someone else is in control of it. And granted, you should be doing copyright stuff anyway, even with your Shopify. But with Etsy, yeah, there can be things that pop up that can, cause you to get shut down. So, but it can be extremely profitable. So even though, I had those two things happen to me, I'm still on Etsy and I'm still doing very well on Etsy. And I will keep going on with that. I mean, even as I'm trying to grow other platforms, I'm not giving up on my Etsy shop. So
Yeah, I know people. I haven't met a ton of people, and of course, the ones who have gotten shut down are the loudest, right?
yeah,
I don't know how
yeah,
many users there are on Etsy, right? There's hundreds of thousands, if not
yeah,
millions of people on Etsy,
yeah,
right? And of course, we're not hearing of all the people who are doing well on it or are succeeding on it and say my shop is just running, no interruptions. We hear the 5 to 10 people who had an issue with it, and of course, those
mhm,
are the only voices we hear. So in our head, we think, oh, Etsy's just doing this, randomly. But a lot of times, like you said, there's a reason. We just don't know the whole story, right?
right,
No one goes on there and says, "Hey, I was selling Detroit Lions stuff and Etsy shut me down. How dare they?" They say, "Etsy shut me down. How dare they?" And then we
yeah,
assume, "Oh, Etsy, you guys are the bad guys." Um,
right,
for a lot of people that I've seen their shops, it is something like that, not following terms of service, if it's
yeah,
IP, if it's copyright, and it happens. We saw the Facebook where we had, 5 or 6 of the bigger names within the community get their pages closed on them on Facebook
right.
last week, where everyone was freaking out, as I'm going to freak out about this light. So let me just turn off this light real quick because it's going to give me a problem. Yeah, so there, I fixed that light, and that hurt getting up fast, but it's okay. So I think, I don't think it's as big of a problem as people make it out to be.
Right,
For the individual, there is, like you said, taking uh, taking yourself where you're not putting all your eggs in one basket. If you rely 100% on Etsy or 100% on Facebook, we should not be doing that for our business. So um, I think that that's a little bit overblown at times. So
right,
we don't. I
yeah,
don't think it's as big a concern as most people make it out to be. Um,
yeah,
Getting back onto our questions, when we were talking about fees, the 6.5%, the 3% processing, which
right.
is kind of standard for all that. How do you stay competitive when, say, you as an Etsy seller has incur fees, and maybe someone who's selling on marketplace or selling just locally can be lower because they don't have these quote unquote fees? How do you stay competitive when it comes to pricing?
So, my customer will pay my price. So that's kind of what it comes down to. So you've got to price your items, and I mean, really, if you do any research on pricing, if you listen to Will, I mean, I've heard him several times talk about pricing. If you're not pricing your items already at like to say, not saying that you want to do wholesale right now, but let's say in 3 to 5 years, as you start scaling your business, you want to wholesale. You don't have those margins set up to be able to do wholesale. And so that was one of the things that I started off with. It was my first mistake, but I learned it early, is that I had to price my items to where I could do sales. I could pay for advertising. When I bring somebody on that I need help with to hire, I've got that enough profit built in to where I can pay those fees plus still make money at the end of the day. And when it comes to Etsy, I mean, and really all platforms, but specifically we're talking about Etsy, is my photos sell my product. So if I'm taking really good photos and I'm showing the quality of the product, they're going to pay that price for it. So, and once again, it's part of the brand awareness that you want to build on Etsy. Having videos in there, showing your shop layout and start, it builds that whole trust with the buyer to where they're like, okay, this is a legitimate business. They know what they're doing. They're using all of this equipment. And you may not know what you're doing, but photos can do a lot of things. So, you're selling not just your product, but you're selling you as a handmade artist that you're bringing out quality products. So that's where it all comes down to.
Yeah, I think that, like you said right there, was, not every customer is your customer, and
Right,
knowing who your customer is and presenting a product that stands out versus others. And I think that goes back to what we were talking about just a little while ago, was using other people's photos and designer photos. And this is an example that I bring up all the time is, let's say a well-known designer lets you use their photos and seven people use that photo, and they
right,
search into the search bar Will's design or whatever it might be, and they see seven of the exact same photo. There's no distinguishing feature in that photo that would warrant why one should cost more than the other, right? So then
right,
as a consumer, of course, I'm going to look at that and say, that looks exactly the same as that one. Why would I pay 50 here when I can pay 35 here?
right,
Right? So when you do that, you're not giving the buyer an opportunity to make a judgment on which holds more value. Therefore, you're only going to look at the price. Now, if
right,
you create your own photo that creates a certain emotion, that has a background or has something that resonates with that buyer, then they can look at that and say, wow, that looks amazing on that mantle. I can envision that on my mantle. I can see, yeah, I don't mind spending $50 for that.
right,
So that, again, using your own photos and using your photos to capture that consumer and
right.
create an emotion for that consumer is what will separate you from the endless scrolling of people seeing the same picture over and over again.
Yeah,
Um,
absolutely. Yeah,
John
photos are
says,
so
I'm kind of
important.
glad now that I took a photography class. That's what John says. Yes, photography is important.
It's
We are in
extremely
a
important.
doom scrolling society that just,
Yeah,
and if something
yeah,
doesn't catch us, we're scrolling right by it.
right,
And another thing that I've said to many people is, you can make amazing items. You can make items, if I was to rate it on a scale of 1 to 10, it would be a 10. But if your photos only showcase it at a 5, as a buyer, what do they think that your product is? They think it's a 5.
right.
You can't put on there looks better in person.
Yeah,
No one's buying that because it says looks better in person. So you need your photography to show off exactly the time and skill that you have to create that product. You need to have that reflect in your photography. So in photography, it's just as big as it gets. I mean, it's so people take it for granted that, oh yeah, it's just a picture. No, it's
yeah,
everything. It's
it is.
everything.
It's extremely important. So, yeah, because it doesn't matter
Um,
if you've got your listing completely optimized, but you have crappy photos, it's not going to sell as well. It's just not. So, I mean, photos are extremely important. So,
so do you look back at some of your early listings versus what you do now and see a drastic change in your quality of photos?
oh, yeah. I even have photos up from those days still, which is, one of the things that I'm working on is like slowly, fixing those items. Cause Etsy used to be a platform where you listed an item and it just started selling. Like you really didn't have to do anything, and and now you do. And so, but I came across that wooden sign that I started off with, and I came across that original photo, and I was like, oh my gosh, I can't believe anybody bought that. It's just crazy. But and I ended up paying. I went through a phase just because I didn't know enough about photography. My business was doing well to where I didn't have time to learn photography, so I hired it out. There's a couple of people that I know that are in the handmade world that do product photography, and they have subscription base, or they can just do one-off packages. But you'd be amazed too. You can research that locally, and some photographers, especially if you want modeled shots, that's just them taking a photo of the person. But a lot of the times you can get some local stuff going, also. But if you are not good at photography, you don't want to learn photography, but you want a successful business, then you're going to have to hire it out. And there's resources for that. But yeah, I've looked back on photos. I'm like, oh my God, like the shadows, it's like a gray photo. I'm like, how did I ever sell that? It's just crazy.
I look back at some of the, well, even I could have had the best photography. I look back at some of my projects from when I first started. I'm like, oh, that's horrible. But we all get better, right? And we learn, and
Yes,
we realize what are the important things that we need to do with our business too. So that's a
right.
big a big step.
Yep,
John had a great suggestion. Is might be a great idea to take photos of the product in its final packaging, especially if you're using techniques like Catherine Ewers. If you're looking to add more photos to
right.
your Etsy listing, or if
Mhm.
also to give the customer a clear expectation of what they're going to receive, that they're going to get something that's probably gift ready
Right,
versus just thrown into a bag. That's another selling point for your product that could help you stand out from others as well.
right. Absolutely. Yeah, especially this time of year. Gift wrapping is a big, like, it's a great way to add to your AOV, by having the gift wrapping option available and then charging for it so that you can set. I don't like that they cap it. I think it's at $4 or $5 on Etsy when you offer gift, but I mean, you can do your own variation too if you wanted to charge more than that. So, but it's a great way to make extra money at Christmas.
One of the questions I had was what elements make an Etsy listing stand out, and I know we talked about it right there. Was
Mhm.
um, photography and getting
Yeah.
your photo out there. But we're going to share your link here later for the growth thread where you go into more detail about listings and getting seen. So we definitely want to hear more about that. But um, when it comes to photo taking, what are some of your top tips to taking effective product photos?
So for me, I found if I don't have a designated space already set up for photography, it doesn't get done. So, because I don't, unless if I'm doing a new product line and I'm working on that in my spare time, I normally try to take photos, while I'm doing, during production. I get all my stuff produced, and then because I am updating all of my photos, but if I do something, a new design, I'm like, oh, I need to take this photo before I ship it. And I'm like, oh, but I need to ship it. But if I have to set up the whole setup for my photo, then I'm not going to get it done. So, and even, I mean, I'm in tight quarters also, but it is a priority for me to have a photography area set up. And you want it bright. I mean, if you look at your competitors, that's the people that have the bestseller badges and the people that have, Etsy pics. I mean, their photos, and they'll tell you in their photography, part of the seller handbook, they want bright, airy photos. And that's what you see with those bestseller and Etsy pics. So you want great lighting. And I use a light, but I also use natural light because nothing gives it off better than that. So I use Lightroom. That's another big tip for editing. It is a subscription based, app, but it's amazing. I can take a photo. I've got presets done. I can take a photo, edit it, and upload it, and it's less than a minute. So just because of the efficiency I have in place. So a designated area is huge for that.
Yeah, I've talked about that numerous times, is setting yourself up to do the right things versus
Right.
doing the wrong things, right? Make it easy for yourself. For
Right.
me, jumping on videos or making videos or going live, I used to have to pull out all the equipment, set
Yeah.
everything up, get my computer set up, move my lights, and set everything up. And what did it do? It caused me not to do it at all. I was like,
Yeah.
no, it's going to take me an hour to set up to do a 2-minute video, or it's going to take me an hour to do an hour live. It just didn't make sense to me. So I blocked off one section and I set up everything that I needed for it. So now I can come in, and if someone said, I need you to go live in 2 minutes, I could be live in 2 minutes with the poltergeist lights and all this other stuff. It's Halloween. I guess that's what's happening here. I don't know what's going on with that, but I think that that's a good tip, is just setting yourself up, even if it's a small area, to
Right.
have everything ready for you to help you do the right things every single time. And I think as you start to do it, in the beginning, it's going to seem difficult. It's going to seem awkward. It's going to not be the norm. But once you start doing it, then you realize that every single time you feel awkward not doing the right thing. You
Right.
feel awkward not taking those pictures. So
Yeah.
I think that
Absolutely.
that's a great tip, is just have an area, know an area that you can have, or at least have everything kind of within grasp so that you can take those pictures and take the listings, quickly. So
Yeah.
that's definitely
Absolutely.
an important thing. Um, I heard you use the words branding and shop cohesion a
Mhm.
couple times in some of your answers. Can you explain to people what shop cohesion and branding does, and how that's beneficial on even something like an Etsy shop?
So you, if you scroll through Etsy, the shops that have brand cohesion, they jump out at you. Like the colors that they use throughout their branding, it just flows throughout the whole Etsy shop, and you're like, I want my shop to look like that. So that's what that is. You use it's down to the background colors. That's one of the nice things that Etsy rolled out in the fall was with the Etsy Plus subscription. It when you upload whatever your banner is, it takes the colors in that banner and then it lets you create colors that coordinate with that. You can't put in your PMS colors, which I have a problem with, but that's okay. I'll get over it. But you can, create, it'll coordinate colors with that banner and it puts it as a background throughout your whole Etsy shop when you're in your About Me, your policies. And so it starts building when customers start seeing my logo, those colors, they start seeing those colors, they think of my logo. So that's where you start getting that brand cohesion. I've got it through all of my infographics. I've also started because my customer anyway, only during Christmas do they go to my shop. And that's if they're trying to build up to the $35 threshold for free shipping. But for the most part, they're just going to a listing. So I have started making that listing cohesive with the first photo. So as they're scrolling the photos, if I have infographics in there, those infographics have my logo on there, but they also have it's cohesive with the colors in the first photo. So it just flows so much better. And people remember that. Like it's easier on the eyes. If you're going, like I sell a lot of baby items. So if they're going from a pink blanket and then as they're scrolling, they go to a teal infographic, they're like, oh, that doesn't look right. So creating that, you're wanting to build trust with the buyer and they take the time, they notice that you're taking the time to have your shop look so professional, that instantly puts that trust factor into the buyer's mind to where they're going to want to buy from you.
it's the same you would do for treat it like you would a retail location, right?
Right.
When you walk into a retail location, you're trying to create a certain environment. You want it to feel a certain way, the cohesiveness of everything that you have around it. I think we realize that when we see certain designers with their
Yeah.
photography or their style. We're like, I can
Yeah.
see they'll just post a picture, and I'm like, I know whose that is. I
Yeah.
know whose work that is, and it builds, like you said, brand trust
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
awareness. So I think that that's important too. So you want to be able to say, oh yeah, I've shopped with, oh I know that shop, I know Heather's shop, I've seen this feel, and it helps you remember that the next time you think of, oh I want a baby item. I'm not just searching on Etsy. I'm like, wait, I did go to that one shop. It was great. Everything was great. And then you're able to remember that company's name because,
Right.
like you said, it's been kind of instilled in them by consistency.
Right. Right.
Uh,
And a lot of people
let's
don't,
see.
they don't look at the inserts. I do inserts still, but I mean, let's be honest. I mean, even I don't look at them most of the time. But I will say that, one of the things I've done is I've added a sticker to my packaging. I actually have to look at that sticker to rip the package open. And that's helped a lot with, and then I use my tape is branded. It's kind of the same. It's that water activated tape like Amazon uses. And I've gotten a lot of compliments from that. I've got my QR code on it. So as it's going through the postal service, I mean, who knows who I'm capturing from that. So that's part of the brand recognition as well. And I've gotten compliments that were like, when I received my package, I didn't even have to look at the shipping label. I saw the tape and I knew it was, the package I was been waiting for. So, all of those little things go a long way. So,
Yep, all the little things, right? It's points of contact, right? It's the more they see it, the more it's recognizable, the more
yep,
they know how to find you afterwards.
yep,
I've
absolutely.
made that mistake many times when I go on Etsy and I buy something and I receive it and I like it. And yes, I've bought things on Etsy that I don't want to personally make, even though I said I could make that. I don't want to make it. And I've
I've
bought it
done the same
and
thing.
I have no idea where it came from. And 6 months later, I'm like, oh, I don't know where I got this from. I don't remember. Versus, packaged properly, all the things
Yeah.
that come with it that you remember. Um, Speaking of Etsy and shipping, this is another one. How do you handle the shipping cost with Etsy? Free versus paid? Because we hear that. Do people tend to gravitate more toward free shipping, or how do you price your items for shipping?
So Etsy did a study. They did it last year as well, but I mean, a majority of the customers want free shipping or they want low cost shipping. And you've probably seen some orders come through that say Etsy Insider and they're getting free shipping. They are going to roll out at some point, a program like Amazon Prime where they pay a yearly membership and they get free shipping. So in doing that, that's the reason why they're pushing, less expensive shipping. So all of my items are priced at $6 or well, it's below $6 for shipping. And then I offer the free 35. And the way I cover that, a lot of the times I cover the free, I'll add more to my retail price to cover for the shipping, or I'll cover a percentage of it. If you're selling big bulky items, do calculated shipping because I mean Etsy don't want you to lose money. So do calculated shipping, and then that helps cover you in regards to that threshold and getting that extra search boost for running the less expensive shipping. So, but people will buy. I've also found people when they get free shipping over 35, they buy more. So your AOV goes up. So you're making more money anyway. So
So it kind of balances itself out. If they're spending more,
yeah,
there's a little bit more margin in there for you to help cover some of those costs.
right.
Um, One thing we talked about was photography and setting yourself apart with that. Another thing that I hear quite a bit are reviews. Do
Mhm.
reviews help Etsy pages? And how do you encourage your customers, or do you encourage your customers to leave reviews?
So reviews are very important. They didn't. I mean, they didn't have as much weight as they do now because of AI. I don't know if you've noticed or not when Etsy did this update. They now have they have keywords down there at the bottom. They'll say this seller does fast ship, and it's based on a listing because it takes a summary of those reviews, but it will say fast shipping, great quality, or whatever is the majority of the keywords that the customers are using. So that could be a blessing and a curse. If you're, not shipping quick, it's going to put that on, it's not going to, it only highlights the good qualities, but it's just not going to have anything on there. So reviews are extremely important. They've got the keywords are in there. Once again, Etsy doesn't do anything for no reason. So if they're highlighting those keywords, it matters. It matters a lot. And I have a sticker that I put. That's the sticker I was talking about on the package. It's literally saying that something along the lines that we strive for amazing quality and customer service, and please leave a 5-star review. But the whole reason why I did that sticker was because they would leave a review before reaching out to me. So that sticker says, please contact us if you're not satisfied before you leave a review so we can, try to fix the problem. But that sticker's made a big difference in the number of reviews that I receive now. Because people I don't leave reviews. I don't like leaving reviews. So, I mean, it's kind of an out of sight, out of mind thing. So that sticker, helps with that a lot. So anything that you can do to help with reviews is going to be very beneficial, especially while you're building your shop on Etsy.
Yeah. Don't be afraid to ask for it. Don't be afraid to ask for reviews. Just like when I deal with people locally, asking for reviews or asking for referrals. Those
Yeah,
are things that I strongly suggest to people. The other thing is it's true when I'm looking at a product, and if there are similar products, similar shops, similar price points, one has 2 reviews and one has 1,000 reviews. 99% of the time, I am buying from the company that has 1,000 reviews on that product.
right.
It's just what it is. So
Yeah,
um, I heard a really good thing on TikTok that said companies no longer build brands, communities do.
right.
And we look at Yelp,
Yeah,
we look at Google reviews, we
yeah,
look at reviews on people's websites or Etsy, and we are taking the word of thousands of strangers,
yeah.
but we are listening to them more than we are listening to the company saying we are great.
Right.
So the more you can have people communicate that for you, the better off you're going to be, because that could be that deciding factor from buying from one versus the other.
Yeah,
And honestly,
absolutely.
if it's a similar product, 1,000 reviews versus 2, I am probably buying. I know I'm buying the one with more reviews, and I'm probably willing to spend more. And I
Right.
think that's probably the case for a lot of us. Like if it was, 2 reviews, but I'm saving $5, or I'm going to get a 2,000 review item for $5 more, I'm probably spending $5 more. In all
Yeah,
honesty, I would trust that 1,000 reviews is going to at least give me a better product. So all of those things will start to play a factor in how you grow your revenue as well.
right.
So look at that, and don't be shy. Like you said, it's something as simple as a sticker, because we just need that little reminder. The
Yeah,
out of sight, out of mind. If I don't,
yeah.
if I have to go through extra steps to give you
Right,
a review, I am probably not. But if there's a
right.
sticker with a QR code or something to just remind
Yeah,
me, and I'm getting it and the packaging looks nice, that's the time where I'm probably going to give a review. I'm never coming back to it. If you send me an email later saying, "Hey, we'd love a review," it's not happening. I'm
right.
50% chance I'm not even opening the email. And the rest of it is I just not going back in there to go through all the headaches of doing that. So make
Right,
it, again, just like we talk about photography and making it easy for ourselves to take pictures, make it easy for the customer to give you that review. Make it easy for that customer to refer you to others. I think that's a big thing. Make it take away the pain points for them, and they're more likely to do it.
right. I mean,
Um,
the whole point of when you're selling a product, you're
we're getting
solving a
close here. We
problem.
have a
So, you know,
yes. Definitely. I
So
have a quick
whatever that
question here
problem
from
is. So,
yes, it could, hey, I'm looking for an amazing gift for someone that I care about and I want to give them something amazing. That we're solving a problem for them.
right.
It's we're giving them a personalized gift. Stephanie had a shipping question. She said, I thought I used to be able to set up a shipping profile with the box that I'm going to use. I do not see that anymore. Did they get rid of that?
So you have to be doing, you probably have inside your listing calculated shipping setup, and you've already got that. There's something going on in your shipping settings, is what I'm trying to say. So I would look into your listing, and you probably have something in there set up that you didn't realize that you did. Because, yeah, you can set up, your calculated shipping, and for that particular item, it's going to be in this box all the time. Or you don't have calculated shipping set up and you think that you do. So look into that, because when they added the shipping profiles and processing profiles in the fall, some of that kind of got thrown off and got wonky. So I would dig into your shipping settings, and something's probably not set up right.
Perfect. We're getting close. I try to keep everyone here in an hour, but we're having such a great
Yeah.
conversation. I'll ask a couple little things quickly, and then if there's any other
Okay.
questions, we can always come back and answer them in the chat with the comments later. What are some of the most common mistakes people make when starting on Etsy?
So putting the listing up and not, just expecting sales. I would say that's the number one thing. They think they're just going to instantly start making money because they threw something up on Etsy, and that's just not how it works. So it might have worked that way, 7, 8, 9 years ago, but it does not work like that now. So, I think some people look at Etsy or Amazon as like a fast way to make money, and it can be, but you still have to do the work to set it all up correctly. And so that's what I see a lot of. A lot of people just throw up a listing and they just think, okay, where are my buyers? It doesn't work like that.
Yeah, I think people underestimate the amount of work we have to put in to get the
Mhm.
results we want.
Yep,
Mm,
absolutely.
You know, I mean, I look at people who are more successful than me or where I want to be, and I look at the amount of work that they put in, and I'm like,
Right.
oh, I can see why. I can
Yep,
see why I'm not
absolutely.
where you are. Uh, because it's more than I ever anticipated.
Yeah.
I thought I consider myself a hard worker, and then I look at what others are doing, and I'm like, no, I'm not that hard of a worker. I'm getting by. I'm getting by, but there's definitely we there's especially in the beginning, it's like you have to put in 100% of
Yes.
input to get very minimal output. But
Right.
eventually, as you continually do that, the numbers will start to level out a little bit better. It's
Yeah.
just in the beginning, it seems so hard. Like you're going uphill, but no
Yeah.
one waits to get to the peak and then let the downhill come. They quit before that point. So
Right.
there's no get rich quick scheme. Etsy's not one of these. I'm
No.
going to post. I'm going to go viral. There's work into it. The people who seem to be overnight successes have been working at this since, like you said, 2009. Right? You've been
Yeah.
at this for 2009, 2014. All the things that you've made changes. So it takes time. It takes consistency. It takes persistence.
Yeah.
Um, so for those who are nervous to start with Etsy, what would be something you would say to them?
If you're wanting to start a business, dig into it. So, Etsy's a great platform, and it can be a great platform, but you have to work, like I said, earlier, you have to work the business, whether you're on Amazon or Shopify or even just selling on Facebook Marketplace, you or eBay, any of them, you have to work the business. Buyers changed a little bit through COVID because there was so many, you know, uh, bad sellers out there. And so it changed, like Will was talking about earlier, about I'm going to buy something that has 1,000 reviews versus 5 reviews. And so you're going to have to really work that business. But, Etsy is, if you're following the rules and setting up your stuff and have great photography and you've got a great product people want to buy, then it's a great way to make money. And like I said, I'm very successful on it, and I love the flexibility that I have because of it, because I can be here for my kids. I can go to my kids' activities and still contribute to the family. So it's, I love what I do. So it's, I get out of bed, to help people. I love to help people. Doing these types of things, it sets me on fire. So I love doing that type of thing. But I get up out of bed because I enjoy what I'm doing. And so if you're dreading it, it's also not going to succeed. So because you don't want to put in the work. So just start in. And like I said, we have all kinds of trainings inside the Growth Thread to get you started. Because if I had something like the Growth Thread when I first started, where would I be right now versus making all the mistakes that I've made along the way by far.
Yeah, speaking of that, I'm going to put the website here, but later I'll let you in the comments if you can post your link to
Okay.
it. But tell us just a little bit about the growth thread. I got to learn a little bit more about it at Next Level. You guys had an amazing booth there, and you guys were sharing there. But just tell us a little bit about what the growth thread is, how that could help them, and how that ties into what we were talking about when it comes to Etsy.
So Dana created the Growth Thread. I've known Dana for several years, and Dana created the Growth Thread as just a need in the handmade community to where, as you're scaling, like how do I find, how do I buy land for a warehouse? Do I need to buy land? Do I just need to rent? All of those items are inside the Growth Thread. We don't call it a library of content because she strategically had it laid out to where you don't get overwhelmed. But we have training in there on fair if you're wanting to, do wholesale. We have Shopify, we have Etsy, Amazon, craft shows. How to effectively set up all of these different items for your business so you can succeed. How to be efficient, how to utilize AI. I mean, like social media, Pinterest, all of that is everything that goes into a business, we have it in there. We have an accounting expert in there now, a thread partner. And so it's just anything that you could think of for a business, it's inside the Growth Thread. And she created this awesome feature in there that's part of the Growth Thread. It's called the Thread Bot. So you can type in your question. It searches all of our trainings and it gives you an answer in less than like a minute. So, I mean, it's crazy. And then it takes you to the lesson so you can listen to the lesson. But that's what the Growth Thread, there's part of a Facebook community also. And the community is amazing. It's engaging. There's several posts a day. And we're just all in there cheering each other on and helping each other through all of the ups and downs of all of the different platforms.
Excellent. Well, yeah, definitely go check it out. I will have Heather post her link in the comments because this is not a clickable link down here. But if you guys have more questions, definitely ask them in the chat. We can go back to those and check them out periodically and try to answer any questions you guys might have. If you guys are watching this on replay, if you can hashtag replay on here, just so I can see how many people see it after. We definitely want to do these more regularly just to help people grow in their business. I want to say thank you so much to you, Heather. It was a pleasure sitting down with you for an hour. You sometimes I'll talk to someone, usually Mark, and at the 40-minute mark, we're like, oh, we don't want to talk anymore. But this went quickly, and I looked up and I'm like, wow, it's been an hour. But yeah, thank you so much for taking time out of your day to share your knowledge. Oh, we love having you. So again, thank you guys all. I'll be back live here in an hour with another Heather as we talk about Shopify. So if you guys are around, come by, jump on in about an hour if you have questions about Shopify. But Heather, hang out. I'm going to throw us off the stream, but we'll chat a little bit after this. I hope you guys all have a wonderful day.
All right.
All right. Talk to you guys soon.
Bye.
Bye.